recording on the Snellen's chart. You normally tell the patient you count 6 meters first of all from the chart, all the way you count 6 steps, then you tell the client to stand or sit 6 meters away from the chart. Then from there you need to start to tell the client to cover at least one eye using the palm. And then they mention the letters that we are able to see as you point on the chart. So for example, you start all the way with the first letter, they will point and they mention this is letter E. You go all the way. Now as you go down, you find that on line number 4, 5, and 6, the letters are increasing in number. So if, for example, the patient is able to see all the letters where 3 is, you will record, maybe the patient is able to read where 3 is, they say this is Z. But when you point where L is, they say I can't see. Or you point where L is, they tell you that is V, meaning they are mentioning the wrong letter. So in this particular case, the patient can only see up to line 3. So your recording is just going to be 3/6 for that particular eye. If that was the left eye, you say 3/6 because the patient can only read letters up to where line 3 is. Then if I told the patient can read letters, for example, when we reach line 5 has 5 letters in it. So the recording changes. Let's say, for example, the patient in line 5, there are letters P, E, C, F, and D. So let's say the patient is able to read P, E, and C. Those are 3 letters in this particular line 5. So your recording, it will still remain this. It is not going to be the same run. Because the patient is able to read 3 letters, first of all, we'll start with 3 letters. If the patient is able to read the 3 letters, your recording is going to be 5/6. But if the patient is able to read 3 or less letters, you don't pick the actual line, but you pick the previous successful line over 6. What do I mean? Let's say in line number 5, the patient can only maybe see P and E, but when you point at C, maybe they say that is 4, meaning the patient can only read 2 letters in line 5. So you are not going to record to say 5/6, no. You are going to say 4/6. 4/6 plus 2. Are we together up to that point? I'm saying if the patient is able to read 3 letters in that line, meaning when recording for that eye, you are picking the actual line. That's if they are able to read 3 letters or more in that particular line. But where they are able to read less than 3 letters, meaning it could be 2 letters or 1 letter, meaning you are not picking the line where they have ended, but you are picking the previous successful line. Over 6 plus the letters that they read in the line where they ended. So in this example, we are saying the patient can only read P and E, but they fail to read C, meaning they have just seen 2 letters in line 5. So in this case, the recording is going to be 4/6 plus 2, because in the line where they ended, which is line 5, they only read 2 letters. But if the patient is able to read more than 3 letters, you pick the actual line where they have ended. For example, they are able to read maybe P, E, C, and F, but you point at D, they say I can't see. Or you point at D, they say this is O. It means that they can't see the last letter in line 5. So you don't continue, you record for that eye. So in this case, the patient has read more than 3 letters. Now the recording changes. You are not picking the previous successful line, but now you are picking the actual line. So you are going to pick the actual line over 6 minus the letters that they did not see in that line. So in this case, if the patient can't see D, letter D at the end, meaning you are going to see 5, you are going to say 5/6 minus 1. Because in letter 5, they have read 4 letters, but they could not see the last letter, which is D, in that line itself where they have ended. So that is the only trick part on recording using the Snellen's chart. where the patient has gone and they have failed to read the last remaining letters or numbers. But like I've said, the Snellen charts are different. This Snellen chart has the letters, there are Snellen charts which have numbers, but the structure is almost the same. But the tricky part is on recording. But if they repeat the way it came in the last exam, the patient was forced to see all the 6 lines. So it was a standardized patient, but it should be someone who's able to read all the letters up to 6, meaning the recording was just 6/6 on both the eyes. So that is on recording. So we can do the procedure. Who's going to be the standardized patient? You can come. Yes, guess where to end because there's an actual patient. Then there will also be a seat for you. Then there is a Snellen's chart stack and there is a table with plain papers which you are going to use for you to record. So the first thing, visual acuity, you need to start with demographic data. So when you read the scenario, let's say the scenario reads, Miss X came to your screening room for eye checkup. Task, assess the eyesight of Miss X using a Snellen's chart. So once you read the scenario, the first thing as usual is to sanitize, which indicates wash hands and be present. Then you come to the client. Good afternoon, Miss X. I'm licensure candidate number 2841. I've been assigned to assess your eyesight using the Snellen's chart. Can I go ahead? Anything I can do for you around here before I proceed? Thank you. I'll be back to do the procedure. Once you get permission, again you sanitize, and on the paper you just pick a plain paper and of course you have your pen, and then you sit with the client. Now, for those of you who were there when we were doing history taking, we talked about how to correctly sit. We said when you're doing any history taking procedure, you follow what is known as the solar manner. So the solar manner, we sit squarely, the way the chairs are arranged. When you're dealing with the client of the opposite sex, you don't put the chairs where they are directly facing each other. You don't face each other. You can only face each other if you are dealing with someone of the same sex. But if you are dealing with someone of the opposite sex, you are arranging a solar manner. So it's your job to arrange the chairs like this. You just find them placed anyhow. Then when you sit, we follow what is known as solar manner. So you sit squarely like this. Her legs are there, mine are here. The world is safe. We face each other, letting the knees hitting each other. From there we'll touch each other. It will be a relationship, not a solution. So that's why we follow the solar manner. Then O means open posture. So you, the owner of the procedure, you don't cross the legs. You maintain an open posture, which shows that you are in control of the discussion. Then L means lean forward. So you don't lean back like this, you didn't put your forward. It shows to the client that you are not concerned about what the client is about to say. So you lean forward, which shows that you are ready to listen to what the client is about to say. Then E means eye contact. As you speak to the client, you maintain the eye contact. Then the R means relax. You don't look like you are uncomfortable. You are doing this with your legs or chewing the pen. It shows that you are not relaxed. With history taking, whatever problem the client has, it's her problem, it's not your problem. So you don't need to be relaxed, you don't need to be anxious rather. Because if you don't seem to be relaxed, the client won't have confidence in whatever you are going to be saying. So we follow what is known as the solar man. So this principle you just apply, you see, no need to mention it. But the examiner will pick out that you have followed the solar man. So once you sit like this, you start with demographic data. So you are going to say your name please. So you can now do this for together, correct answers or wrong answers. Okay? So Miss Natasha. So Miss Natasha, where do you come from? Which is address? Okay. Then what is your age? marital status?
Engaged.
You can give me the wrong answer. So, your occupation?
I'm a teacher.
Okay. Your religion, Christianity, or any other? And what is your education background? Should we say tertiary since you are a teacher? So once you get the demographic data, those of you who are not there, we ask for the name, the age, the address, the marital status, the religion, and also educational background. So you get that information. Normally the sex, you know right now it's illegal just to assume this is a female. What if she says I identify myself as a man? So in Western countries, it's illegal for you to assume that this is a man or a female. Ask them, they tell you their sex. But in Africa, we are still assuming when you see, you just say, oh, female age is 27 or male age is whatever. So once you get demographic data, you draw something that looks like a V. Then you say right eye and left eye. So maybe the V comes from visual acuity. So you just draw that. So once you get the demographic data, so Miss X now will move on to assess your eyesight. So what will happen is that I will place you 6 meters from this particular chart. So I will be pointing at the letters, then you need to tell me what letters you're able to see. If you can't see the letter, just tell me you cannot see. So as you cover your eye, I will ask you to cover your eye using the arm. Okay. So at this moment, the owner of the procedure, you go where the chart is, you just count. Sometimes the room is small, so don't say, no, I have need of 6 meters. Just do even 4 steps and then you say, okay, this is 6 meters. So Miss X, I will ask you to just stand a bit here facing the chart. So Miss X, you can cover your left eye so that we assess the right eye. So what letter is this? This one? This one? This one? This one? This one? This one? This letter? Again? Okay, you can remove your hand. So Miss X, you can now cover your right eye so that you assess your left eye. Again, what letter is this? Again, this letter. Okay, Miss X, you can come back and sit. So if the client is wearing lenses, glasses like she is, you need to assess by telling them to remove. So sometimes in the exam, you will find the standardized specialist was taught to wear glasses. So assess them by telling them to remove the lenses. Because you assess with the glasses and the record, and then the exam just size 0. Because the recordings are not true, they are lenses there. So now, Miss X, we have assessed your eyes. Your left eye, you are able to see letters on 4 lines successfully, and on the left eye, you are only able to see letters 2 lines rather out of the 6 lines. With these results, this indicates that both your eyesights are not very good. Therefore, from this particular investigation or assessment, we'll still take you to do some more investigation so that we assess what could be the problem with the eyes, so that we can give you the correct lenses, also correct interventions or drugs. But in the meantime, what I would advise you is that you should do So once you are done, you sanitize, then you say I'll report to the 1G in charge because you've already documented. Okay. That's okay. Out of 6. On IEC, maybe you can just say your eyes are not that bad because you are able to see at least 5 letters out of 6, but still we are going to assess your eyesight because there are other investigations, invasive investigations that are done. Then apart from that, you just still encourage the same client to eat foods rich in vitamin A because that's what promotes good eyesight. Also not using the phone or watching TV in a dark room. Also if they are passing through where there is a lot of sunlight, they wear protective lenses, like just normal glasses to avoid further damage of the eyes from the sun. And so those are some of the IEC that you can give. Even if like in the scenario where the client was able to see all the 6 lines, the IEC was just to encourage the client to continue keeping the eyes safe. They also continue eating foods rich in vitamin A. You also encourage them, they should not use the phone for a long period of time in a dark room or watch TV for a long period of time in a dark room to prevent damage of the eyes. So the IEC is like that for all the possible scenarios that you given. But that is how we assess the eyes using a Snellen's chart. Okay. Unless there's a question.